Okay, I am Elizabeth Laborde. I am a registered nurse. I've worked as a med-surg nurse and tele nurse, and now I'm doing hospice.
Well, I thank you for your taking your time to share your background and your expertise with us for the Nightingale 2030 project. It really means a lot to us and nurses around the world that will hopefully see and participate in this really rather unique project that we're working on right now. So tell me, what made you decide to be a nurse? Why did you choose nursing?
Well, I think it's in my personality that I grew up caring, loving, and I found my mom nurturing all of us. It was 10 of us. And so it is in us. We actually have two doctors and two nurses in the family of 10.
Wow.
So we just, really want to care for people and make people feel better.
Oh, that's terrific. So, with your years of experience, what are your thoughts about what nursing is like today compared to when you first started as a nurse? Do you see any differences?
In the nurse ratio and the level of stress has changed. A lot of lack of help.
So, do you think it was
We have
better?
more nursing shortage nowadays.
So, do you think it was the nursing was easier or in a sense better years ago as compared to today?
I wouldn't say easier. Things have changed, of course, but I think that with the stress because of lack of help in the workforce has made things a little challenging.
Let me ask, I'm just kind of curious because, I've been a nurse for a number of more years than I care to acknowledge here. But when I started out in nursing, we had a team nursing approach to patient care. We had CNAs that worked with us on the floors. And so in the morning, they would come in and distribute linen and fresh water and get patient. They would right away start bathing patients and getting them
Mhm.
prepped and ready for breakfast. And then after we finished a report, we would go then and begin our nursing assessments of the patients. And we knew how to prioritize those that were the sickest down to those that were ready to be discharged that day, so
Mhm.
that we could do our own nursing rounds. And I don't know, maybe it's me, I just don't see that today. Was it like that when you started in nursing or different?
It was like that. It was like that. You had your little routine. When I've worked in nursing homes, of course, when I just finished nursing school and went to hospitals, it was like that, just like you described.
And it just
Yes.
doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, no, no, because I remember I've left hospital, I would say maybe 8 years now. And I remember like you would come in on the floor and you don't know what to expect, how you're going to start your day. You can't really plan because you can, say you're going to do this and then there's an emergency, things have changed.
So do you think the changes have to do with hospitals being more focused on profitability versus, you know, safe patient care and having adequate nurse to patient ratios? Or do you think it's because of insurance reimbursement or just a
I
lack
would,
of qualified
I
people?
would say all of the above.
Interesting. So tell me a little bit about, what made you move from hospital, nursing to hospice?
Well, that was very funny. I trained a nurse at the hospital, and we had a very good relationship. And it was too much for her, so she decided to quit and go try hospice. Then, when she put my name as a referral, when they called me, and the lady was impressed about me, the way I was answering, and she says, Elizabeth, by the way, I would like to have you too. I said, really? But I thought she was kidding. Then a few days later, she asked my friend for my number, and she texted me to say for me to apply. But I had no clue about hospice, what I was getting into then. But I was I think it was a good time at that time because I was very tired working on med-surg floor, which was transferred to telefloor. So it was like more for me, so I didn't like the setting. So I decided to give it a try. And I think it worked for the best. I love hospice and I find myself caring more, having more time and one-on-one relationship with the patients. It's kind of different setting.
I guess for for those who may not be familiar with what hospice nursing really entails, because we're trying to reach a broad audience of individuals that may be considering nursing as a profession. Can you describe or explain what hospice nursing actually is and what it means?
Well, hospice is palliative care, and people that have at least 6 months or less to live. Although we have had patients that, you know, graduate when if I should say that, get improved and get discharged, which is a good thing. But we take care of the terminally ill patients at the end of their lives, make them feel better, and we take a holistic approach and take care of their family as well as a whole.
So I would think that's got to be just an everyday tug on your heartstrings, taking
And
care of
every day, every day.
how do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis?
Well, it can be very hard at times because even though you're not supposed to be attached to the patients, but you do. Some of them you really get a strong relationship. Some of them it may be you, the only one that they have. Their family members are up north somewhere, and you develop that relationship, that closeness with them. And so it can be hard and very emotional at times for both the patient and the nurse.
So tell me, can you share with us, some stories of patients that you have gotten close with, that you've had to be there and assist them as they leave this world, and what that's really like and what it feels like?
I will never forget that patient of mine. He had lymphedema, and he impacted my life because seeing him as a male and living by himself. When you go to his house, he could barely walk, but his house was neat and everything. He took care of himself. He could still drive, and he could barely walk, but he had to do it because his family members were not around. And so we became very close. And as I visited him, I encouraged him, give him words of encouragement. And so he passed, you know, after a while of me taking care of him. So that was very sad. And I got close to the daughter that was up north by giving her report every time I visit him and stuff. So that was very sad. We can get very close, very attached.
Wow. And I know you and I were speaking that, some of what you're doing in caring for hospice patients currently is that there are elderly patients in assisted living facilities with COVID. How has it been, reaching out and caring for those types of individuals, knowing that their families can't come to be with them as they die? And, what is that like?
That is a different aspect. I had to find a way, and I did find a way by asking my manager if I could do FaceTime with them. And they did tell me it was okay if it's okay with the family. So every visit, I will call the family via FaceTime and communicate with them, give them update on a daily basis if they are on crisis care, of course. And it helped. Some of them would cry. I would, if they are imminent, close to die, I would put the phone next to their ear and tell the family member it is okay to tell them it's okay to go so they can hear, because hearing is the last thing that goes. Um, so it was very helpful to do that.
And what about the patient themselves? Or, I mean, what's it like for them to know that they're there, they're dying, and their family is only on the phone? And I mean, they're fortunate to have you as a nurse there by them, but
Yeah,
that too has to be hard for people.
it is. It is very, very, very hard. And it touched my heart to see them like that. So I would, like I said, if even if I'm not visiting that particular patient that day, I make sure that I see the other ones. If I see them walking, or I go and check in their room, and if they are available, not sleeping, I would call their family and say, "Hey, I was in the facility, and here is your loved one," and they were very happy.
That's terrific. I know you and I have spoken about the spirituality of what you do. Can you again, for the audience that will be listening, how do you see that or feel that or sense that, I guess, if you will, as you work in hospice?
Hmm. Well, you have to be like very careful when it comes to spirituality, because some of them are Jewish, some of them have different religious background. But I think there's a common point between us. It doesn't matter what religion you are, that at some point when you get the opportunity, and you can get to talk to them about whichever level they are in their life. And you know, you get to know the patient, what they can accept, what they cannot accept, and you get to communicate with them spiritually.
That's good. What, I guess, with your various areas of nursing practice, what can you say to somebody that's considering nursing as a potential career? What do they need to know and think about before they make that decision, do you think?
hmm. I would say they have to be loving, they have to be caring, because nursing is not like any other jobs, you know. Nursing is something, it is a calling, just like it is a calling to become a pastor, a priest. I believe nursing is a very serious job, because you're not taking care of a piece of material and just leave. Sometimes those people can be in your mind, you know. It is something that is very serious matter. So I would say if somebody is contemplating to become a nurse, pray about it and make sure that you are really, you know, fit for the job. Because sometimes, like for hospice, you can have very nice family, and sometimes you can have family that are not coping so well, and that can really latch out on you. You have to distance yourself from that, not to take it personally, you know. So you really have to have the personality to be a nurse.
So tell us about an experience that you've had when a patient's family has really been angry with you, maybe because their family member was dying, or, they didn't think they were getting enough care or treatment. Tell us about what that's like and how you diffuse that.
Yeah, that happens sometimes, where the family member will they will have their, sometimes they have their issues among themselves, especially when their loved one is dying, and they have different people who wants different things, and that brings fire. And sometimes you can walk into fire, and I have walked into fire. I will allow them to vent. I will listen to them, even if they are very mean to me. I will just sit down, relax, let them vent. Sometimes after they vent, they apologize, Sometimes we have to get the manager involved if they have to switch us, for some reason, because sometimes, not everybody click with, you know, because it's not about you, it's about, them, to make them, to please them. Sometimes a change, that's all they need.
Hmm.
So we just take it. It's not easy.
Yeah, no, it's not easy at all.
Yes,
I
it's
guess
not
this is
easy.
a strange question out of nowhere, but my experience with hospice nurses is they try to make the end of life as pain-free as possible for patients. How do you deal with people that say that you're angels of death, that you're actually promoting euthanasia?
Well, this is where the education steps in, because a lot of people think that's what it is, and I have families. As a matter of fact, I have a patient right now that I'm taking care of. The patient family says that the patient has put in their will not to feed him, and he has a peg feeding. So patient has been now for 2 months with sips of water. That's amazing. I've never seen that. And he's still alert. He's nonverbal, but he's still alert and awake. And he can make gestures, for yes or no questions, or move his arm for you if he sees that you're gonna check his blood pressure and stuff. So, and he has caregivers taking care of him, and the caregiver the other day said that the family removed the oxygen even. And the family kept asking me, what takes him so long? What takes him so long? And we say, well, we let nature take its course, because it's not us to, make him go. We don't give them medication if they are not in pain. We don't medicate patients for them to go. So it is very hard, because you see their intention, and that is very hard.
Oh yeah, I yeah, I can only imagine, yes. I mean, my hat's
Yeah.
off to you because you really do have just such an incredibly important but hard job, yet you're the person who, holds people's hands while they leave, this earth and go to another place, and hopefully a better place. But it's still, nonetheless, it's being human, and it's about caring, and it's about, opening your heart to so many people, and protecting your own heart too through self-care, hopefully.
Yes, yes.
So what do you think nurses like yourself need? I mean, if you could, talk to a genie in a bottle and say, this is what, nurses need more of. What is it that you think needs to be considered, that nurses should have, or what do nurses want? I.e., what do you want and your colleagues want as nurses?
um, if for the COVID, like right now, I would say we need proper equipment, and because the equipments are just like, not enough, like, and we need a lot of emotional support as well as healthcare workers, because it can be very stressful. So I think the employers, if they could, try to send us to a retreat every few months, things like that, because it's something that can really drain you if you don't have the higher power to cope with things. But
Yeah.
me, I pray, and that's where I get my strength back. But some people can't really, like my coworkers, they would say, Elizabeth, I'm calling you, I need to vent. And I will always give them words of, take it for, like, make a joke out of it. And then they will go and say, oh, you see, that's why I like to talk to you, Elizabeth. And, because it's something that can be very, very crazy.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. What about pay and benefits like, health insurance and savings for retirement? Are those things that are important also, do you think?
Oh, my goodness. I didn't want to talk about that. But when I look at television and see those comedians, and I'm not saying they're not doing a good job, but I think it is a big insult because if you don't have health, you cannot do what you're doing. So just like teachers, they don't get paid, I feel like us nurses, we don't get paid for the amount of work that we do. Like me, we still do paper charting, and sometimes I wake up 6:30 in the morning to get ready you know, to start working, and sometimes I come home 5 o'clock, and you still have paperwork to do. Sometimes it can be 8, 9, 10 o'clock. You're still documenting. So I think they should consider the pay. The pay is not good, especially in Florida. I don't know where you are, but especially in Florida, they do not pay us at all. I don't think. And health insurance, and they can do better than that, I think.
Good. Well, what questions can I answer for you?
How can you make that happen?
Well, I was just on a call the better part of this afternoon looking at ways we can make things happen for nurses. One of the things that, because like my friend Lynn, we both come from the temporary staffing background, and I no longer am part of that organization or, have to worry about what, they think about what I have to say and do. But, I think one of the things that we really overwhelmingly need is we need a national organization that's an advocacy group for nurses, not a union and not all the different state nursing organizations and boards of nursing. It's fragmented. And because there's like 2.8 million registered nurses in this country, collectively we have a lot of power. And I really think that if we can figure out a way, and we're working on the organizational structure to put that together, we can really look at things that really are, that serve the purpose of being nurse advocates, for nurses that, are reprimanded, on the work site for things that, if they were anybody but a nurse, if they were a doctor, it wouldn't be a big deal. So there are things that just aren't truly fair clinically, that we would represent them from a clinical perspective. We would represent them from an economic perspective, looking at ways that nurses, could contribute through their lifetime working as a nurse into a financial account that, could potentially double or triple, not like a 401k, but, something that's really managed by a financial planner that really helps secure your monies differently, that you don't have to worry so much about, picking, whatever it is that you have to choose from, for your 401ks on an annual basis. And also looking at a different type of healthcare structure that allows healthcare really to be portable and affordable for nurses, so that, if you leave, the only way you have health insurance is if you keep working for somebody.
Yeah.
And, as caregivers ourselves, we should have something that, provides that continuous coverage for us. So we're looking at ways that we can, deal with that. The other thing is that, everywhere right now across communities, it's like nurses are our heroes work here. Thank you, healthcare workers. But, we also feel that it's time for them to ante up. And that can be done in several ways. One is to have, what we're calling a healing space. So we're looking to introduce, in areas that have, groups of hospitals, a house that really becomes a healing place for nurses, that you can go and just, relax and unwind and have, it's nice, it's pretty, it's comfortable. The bathroom has all kinds of, nice amenities, so you could take a nice bubble bath with a candle and just chill without really being bothered. But at the same time, I also think that, with changes that we're seeing around the world with climate change, that being able to have a place too that nurses can place their children and know that they're going to be safe while you go to work, and oftentimes can't leave work, and whether it's due to a hurricane, a tornado, or blizzards, or earthquakes and tsunamis. This whole country is experiencing all of those things right now, and have in the last, 2 years. So where can a nurse go to work and fulfill her obligation, you know, and her calling to help her colleagues and yet know that her own family is cared for. And so we're looking at ways that we can start to talk to emergency management service groups and have like safe locations identified for caregivers to place their family during, you know, during, you know, acts of nature, pandemics, you know, whatever the situation happens to be, that you need to leave your family somewhere. I mean, there's nurses today, as you know, that, you know, they're working every day with COVID patients and they don't want to go home to their young children for fear of giving it to them. So where could they put their children safely if they don't have, you know, other local resources to assist them? And these places that they would place their children would also have to follow certain guidelines. Like everybody working there would have to go through a sexual predator background screening and other types of screenings to, again, ensure the safety, you know, of those family members. So, you know, as we look at this advocacy group, we're looking at a number of different components under it, and education is one of those as well. You know, nurses invariably have to have so many CEUs to renew their licenses on an annual basis. You know, and I understand and I get that, you know, but there's lots of ways to obtain those, I think, inexpensively. But what nurses don't have access to is if you want to change your specialty in nursing, you don't really in today's world have a way to do that because hospitals have cut back on that type of educational training. So we're looking at education as a way for nurses to go from med-surg to critical care or to OR if that's what they wanted to do as the next step in their professional career. So how do we get funds to allow them to move into other specialties and be trained and certified into those so they can practice competently and safely? You know, how can we also better assist, you know, nurses with, you know, past student loans as well as progress from associate degree to baccalaureate degree to master's to a PhD that's there. I mean, it's a different type of educational thought process. So we're looking to really disrupt some of the status quo that's out there and bring it all together under one large umbrella. And it's going to have its challenges because of, you know, the strength of unions in different parts of the country. But we really feel that, you know, there's a way that we could partner with them. And it's another way for nurses to hold the unions that represent them accountable, you know, for what they're doing and how they respond to situations and incidents. So it's pretty exciting. And I'm really happy to be part of all of that. So, you know, it's not just myself. I've got some young millennial nurses that are just dynamite to be working with. And, you know, it's been fun to hear their thoughts and what they see. And it's not so different than yours and mine, which is interesting because they're, you know, they're younger, they're a different generation, they're fresh, they're right out there. And they're talking about the same things you and I have been talking about for years.
Yeah, that's good. Sounds good.
So it's a big project, but, you know, we're going to move on it and make, you know, chip away at the elephant here, so to speak, one bite at a time and see what we can accomplish for nursing. Because again, it's such a large group and it's such a vital, important group. And it's such an amazing profession that people really need to start to see, hear, and understand more about what nurses go through. And that's why stories of the heart are so important to me to be able to convey, because a lot of people just don't get it. They didn't have to experience it, you know, or they drop mom off at the door of the hospital and, you know, kiss them goodbye and just shrug and say, I got to go to work and I can't go. I don't like hospitals. I'm not going in. And it's shocking to me how many people don't really see or understand what it is that we do on a day-to-day basis, you know, in caring and advocating for their family members.
Yes. So true.
So yeah, it's my passion, and hopefully I can make one last difference in nursing before I go to the big guy in the sky.
Well, you're doing an amazing job, and I'll keep you in prayer for that to happen.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. We need that.
Yes, yes.
Well, I appreciate your time. I will let you go. I know it's at the end of a long day and you probably want to grab something to eat and chill out for a bit. So thank you, Elizabeth. I really do appreciate this and your time. And I'll keep you posted on where we are with stuff as it comes out and it's available.
Thanks for your time and thanks for having me.
All right. All the best to you, my dear. Take care.
Thank you. You too.